As an advocate, as a lawyer who goes to the courts and addresses arguments on behalf of his clients, there is this constant dilemma. In fact, there are several dilemmas that an advocate faces on a daily basis. There is morality, there is your own conscience, but apart from that, there's one less talked about, at least in public forums. Dilemma is the fine balance that you have to make between using technicalities in the law to your advantage versus at the same time not upsetting the judge sitting in front of you, who is a living breathing human being. The meaning of this is that as advocates who understand procedure well, there is a lot of leeway, there is a lot of room to work around with things, with strategies to help your client. And if you choose to exploit them, you need to keep in mind the fact that if you do exploit each and every single one of them, or maybe over exploit them, you do stand a possible lashing out by the judge sitting in front of you, because the judge is a living breathing human being. He also has certain ideals, certain conscious, certain sense of right or wrong in front of him, and of course they are bound by the constraints of the laws of procedure around them. Yet at the end of the day, the adage, the age old adage of winning the battle but losing the war is very, very relevant over here, because though in this particular moment the judge might be having his or her hands tied because of the procedure involved, yet there will come a time, maybe not today, maybe a month or a year down the line, where when the judge might not remember the lawyer who pulled off this stunt, but the judge will definitely remember the file. And if the judge has that ill will towards the file, towards the lawyer, they will find by hook or crook a way to make things difficult for you. A great example is that I just came back from a hearing in the Delhi High Court. I had applied for anticipatory bail for a client. The story is I applied for anticipatory bail for 5 clients before the Sessions Court. The Sessions Court granted bail to 4 of them, anticipatory bail to 4 of them, and one of them, the Sessions Court rejected the anticipatory bail. Now, against that, I moved the Delhi High Court for the grant of anticipatory bail for that one remaining client. Notice was issued, interim protection from arrest was granted to this one client. After the matter was fixed for perhaps around 2 months from the date this interim order was passed and notice was issued. The matter now came up today, and today what happened was that the opposite party, they filed their reply to my anticipatory bail application just yesterday, and in all likelihood I knew that the judge would not force, the judge has the power to, but the judge would not force me to argue the matter today itself, especially because the other party also just today filed, they listed it for today, so they filed it just day before yesterday or yesterday, they filed their application for cancellation of the bail granted to the 4 clients by the Sessions Court. Now I had this little dilemma. If the 2 matters were not listed together, they were listed separately. Now the cancellation application was listed first. I had no instructions from my client to appear in that matter. Now if I had appeared in that matter, if let's take the example first of me not appearing in that matter, if in the cancellation file, because it is the first hearing date, I am by law not obligated to appear before the court because notice has not been issued. So if I did not appear in this, the court would have said, all right, issue notice. But in all probability, if I would not have appeared because both the matters were pending before the same court, the other party would have said, my lord, there is a connected matter and my lord may fix it with that one. So all in all, I could not escape it, but I could go to the judge and tell the judge that I do not have any instructions, which means that I have not been told by my clients whether I'm supposed to represent them, the 4 clients, in this cancellation of bail application or not. And until the time my wakalatnama is on the record, I cannot make any submissions on their behalf. But as a matter of procedure, if I have represented the clients, so I could have pulled off this little stunt before the court. I could have said, although I represented the clients before the trial court, I have no instructions before the Delhi High Court, and therefore I do not know whether I will be engaged or some other counsel will be engaged in the matter. And I could have pulled off this stunt, which would have bought my client more time, and the judge would not have been able to do anything either. The judge would not go out of his way to say, no, you represented the client before the district court, therefore you must be representing before the Delhi High Court, and you are deliberately delaying the process of this court. The court would not have said. The court would have said, issue notice, and the other party, when they appear, then we'll see. And I could have taken another date and I could have extended the matter by several more months as well. Yet, when I appeared, I said, I do represent these 4 people. I sought my time and I was granted time, because the other matter, which is the anticipatory bail application in which interim protection was earlier issued, was still pending before this same honorable judge. Now, if I would want to exploit this little technicality of, oh, I am not having any instructions, my lord may issue notice, we'll see at the next date, I would have gotten more time in the cancellation of bail application. But in the anticipatory bail application, which was pending before the court, this judge could have said, Mr. Agarwal, you argue the matter today itself, because of which my client might win, my client might lose, but today for me to argue this matter would mean a certain risk that I was taking if I had to argue this matter today itself. It would serve me a far better utility for my matter to be adjourned or to be argued on the next date of hearing. Especially because the more the delay, the higher the chance of the court granting anticipatory bail at the end of the, at the end of the arguments. And apart from that, there is also the possibility that in the meanwhile, the charge sheet may be filed by the investigating officer, especially in this kind of a situation, the particulars of this particular case. And what actually happened was, this matter, I said it's okay, both matters may be taken up together. I sought time to file reply in the cancellation of bail. And in fact, I did not even need to ask for time in the anticipatory bail application, which if the judge wanted, he could have forced me to argue today itself. And the judge himself said, all right, we will fix both matters to be taken up together now. And the judge fixed the matter from today to about, and gave an adjournment around 2 months from today. So I am definitely happy. My client is happy. The judge is happy because the judge's workload is reduced by a bit, and I did not try to act smart with the judge. I was one of the regular advocates who appear before the judge and who did not try to pull off a silly stunt like this, which if I wanted to, I could have gained some points for the 4 co-accused persons, but then I would have suffered the consequences with this one accused person whose anticipatory bail application was listed for today itself. This long 9-10 minute story lesson that I wanted to call out is, this is just something that came to my mind. This was one of the examples that I could think of just because it had happened today itself. The lesson learnt is that on a lot of occasions you will face this dilemma as well. Should I exploit these loopholes to the best possible extent, or should I restrain myself a little? Only to the extent that I understand that I am not going to antagonize the judge. Because as I said earlier, if you do that, you antagonize the judge. Even if you win the battle, you will lose the war. And at the end of the day, I think this is what advocacy is all about. I always tell my clients that they know their case, having studied it, lived it, they eat and breathe and think about their case all day long. I am just one fellow who will compile everything into a file and who knows comparatively nothing compared to the client. Yet, the only thing that an advocate brings to the table is, understanding the wisdom of the court procedure and knowing what to say, when to say it, how to say it. And that is what advocates get paid for. Okay, so long story short, the point here is you might have the tools. It's not always a good idea to use them to a certain extent. You'll have to kind of learn how to use the tools, and you also need to learn how to and when to not use those tools.